Hello and welcome. I am Pranay Upadhyay and you are watching Namaste World, your daily window into the biggest stories shaping India and the world. We begin in South Asia. India has issued a blunt warning to Poland, making clear that partnership cannot coexist with ambiguity on terrorism. In West Asia, Iran is once again engulfed in protests demanding regime change, raising questions over whether Supreme Leader Khamenei can survive yet another uprising. India heads to Davos in force, pitching stability and growth as global leaders confront economic uncertainty. Back in America, air supremacy has long defined American military power, but China's rapid aviation buildup is now challenging that dominance. But the biggest news of the day: Donald Trump has reignited global tension by intensifying his push to acquire Greenland, publicly attacking allies and testing NATO unity ahead of Davos meeting. All that and more. Global flashpoints, power plays, and stories that matter coming up in this edition of Namaste World. So stay tuned. The US President Donald Trump has dramatically escalated his push to acquire Greenland, launching a fresh barrage of Truth Social posts on the anniversary of his second inauguration. In them, he slammed the United Kingdom for what he called great stupidity in handing the strategic Chagos island, including the vital US base at Diego Garcia, to Mauritius, warning that it would signal weakness to China and Russia. He also leaked a private message from French President Emmanuel Macron offering diplomacy on Greenland, only to dismiss it while claiming a very good call with NATO's Mark Rutte and agreement for talks in Davos. Accompanied by proactive images of Trump planting the American flag on Greenland, declaring it a US territory by 2026, the rhetoric risks straining NATO unity at a tense moment. The World Economic Forum in Davos this week will test whether this is leverage or the start of a deeper alliance crisis. India has delivered a rare and a blunt warning to Europe, publicly cautioning Poland against deepening ties with Pakistan over terrorism concerns. Speaking face-to-face in New Delhi, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar made clear that strategic partnerships cannot coexist with ambiguity on terror. Will Europe listen to India's red lines? Here's a report by Rudrashish Kanjila.
India has delivered a blunt diplomatic message to Europe. Not to Washington, not to Beijing, but to Warsaw. On January 19th, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar publicly warned Poland against deepening ties with Pakistan, a country India says continues to shelter and sustain terrorist networks operating across South Asia. The message was unmistakable. Zero tolerance for terrorism means zero ambiguity. The warning came during delegation-level talks in New Delhi between Jaishankar and Poland's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski. And it was delivered on the record in Sikorski's presence.
Deputy Prime Minister, you are no stranger to our region and are more than familiar with the long-standing challenges of cross-border terrorism. I hope at this meeting to discuss some of your recent travels to the region. Poland should display zero tolerance for terrorism and not help fuel the terrorist infrastructure in our neighborhood. In recent past, both in New York last September and in Paris this January, I have candidly shared our views on the Ukraine conflict and its implications. While doing so, I have also repeatedly underlined that the selective targeting of India is both unfair and unjustified. I do so again today.
The backdrop is Poland's expanding engagement with Pakistan, engagement that New Delhi sees as deeply problematic. Last October, Sikorski visited Islamabad. That visit produced a joint statement, one that referenced Kashmir, a red line for India. Jaishankar did not name Kashmir directly. He didn't have to. Any international language that echoes Pakistan's narrative is unacceptable to India. Poland unusually has emerged as the only European Union state actively increasing political and economic engagement with Pakistan. trade, energy, defense, education, even counter-terrorism operation. High-level talks throughout 2025 have driven pledges of deeper partnership, building on trade volumes already crossing $1 billion. Polish oil and gas firms alone have invested nearly $500 million in Pakistan's energy sector. From India's perspective, that money doesn't exist in a vacuum. India argues that Pakistan remains under international scrutiny for terror financing and support to militant groups operating across border. To New Delhi, expanding defense and energy ties with Islamabad risks indirectly strengthening the very infrastructure that fuels regional instability. To this, Sikorski responded cautiously but defensively. He agreed on the need to counter transnational terrorism, pointing to Poland's own experience with attacks on infrastructure and what he called attempted state terrorism. But the broader disagreement remained unresolved.
So completely agree with you on the unfairness of selective targeting by tariffs, and we in Europe know something about that also, and we fear that this is progressing to a global trade turbulence. I was very glad to be able to discuss with you in Paris the state of affairs in the format of Weimar Triangle Plus, and we are hoping that India will continue to stay engaged in Europe. We've noticed that you are establishing embassies everywhere in Europe, which means that you are serious.
India's core position was clear. Strategic partnerships cannot coexist with selective blindness on terrorism. The talks also widened to the global stage. Ukraine war, trade wars, economic pressure. Jaishankar took aim at what he described as the selective targeting of India for pursuing an independent foreign policy, a clear reference to punitive trade measures and tariff pressures linked to India's purchase of Russian oil. India and Poland elevated ties to a strategic partnership during PM Narendra Modi's visit to Warsaw in August 2024. Indian investments in Poland exceeded $3 billion, supporting local jobs and industries. Jaishankar called the relationship steady, but in need of constant tending. India's message to Poland was firm, public and deliberate. Partnership is welcome, trade is welcome, engagement is welcome, but on terrorism, India says there is no middle ground. Monday's talks made one thing clear: New Delhi will deepen ties with Europe, but it will not stay silent when red lines are crossed. With Rudrishish Kanjilal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Iran is once again gripped by mass protests demanding regime change, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei facing his most serious challenge yet. Having survived 5 major uprisings through force and loyalty, he now confronts angrier youth, a collapsing economy, and rising global pressure. Can Khamenei survive the 6th uprising? Here is a report by Srijita Sen Majumdar.
Iran is burning again. Massive protests have erupted across the country with one clear demand: regime change. The target, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, the man who's held Iran in an iron grip for over 3 decades. But here's the thing: this isn't the first time Khamenei has faced calls to step down. In fact, he survived 5 major uprisings. The question everyone's asking now is, can he survive a 6th? Let's look back the previous 5 years. In 1999, student protests rocked Tehran after authorities shut down a reformist newspaper and raided university dormitories. The demonstrations spread nationwide. Khamenei crushed them. Fast forward to 2009, the Green Movement explodes after allegations of election fraud. millions take to the streets in what became the biggest challenge to the regime since the 1979 revolution. Khamenei survived. In 2017, economic protests erupt over unemployment and corruption. What started as anger over bread and butter quickly turned into direct attacks on the clerical establishment. Again, Khamenei held on. 2019, the Eben protests took place where fuel prices skyrocketed by up to 200%. The response? The most violent crackdown since the revolution. Hundreds killed, thousands arrested. The regime stood firm. In 2022, 22-year-old Mahsa Amini dies in custody of the morality police. Her death ignites the woman, life, freedom movement. Gen Z takes to the streets, burning hijabs, confronting security forces. The world watches, the regime survives. Now, in 2025, protests are back, bigger, louder, more organized. The US has threatened strikes if protesters are killed. Iran's exiled crown prince Reza Pahlavi is calling for the end of what he calls the terror regime. He's even hinting at a homecoming. The pressure is mounting from all sides. But wait, just last week, a massive pro-government rally flooded Tehran. Khamenei himself shared images and videos on social media, sending a clear message to Washington and the West. We're not going anywhere. It was a show of strength, a reminder that while Western media covers the protests, there's still significant support for the regime inside Iran. So, can Khamenei quell the protests this time? History says yes. He's done it 5 times before. He has the security apparatus. He has loyalists. He has experience crushing dissent. But this time feels different. The youth are angrier. The economy is weaker. International pressure is higher. And the calls for regime change have never been louder. The world is watching Iran, and the answer to whether Khamenei survives his 6th uprising may define the Middle East for decades to come. With Srijita Sen Majumdar, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Davos is once again the world's most powerful networking stage, and India is stepping in with confidence and scale. As global growth slows and geopolitical tensions rise, New Delhi is sending ministers, chief ministers, and corporate titans to sell stability, reform, and opportunity. Can India turn Davos 2026 into a global investment endorsement? Here is a report by Farhan Khan.
Davos is once again set to become the world's most high-profile networking hub, and India is arriving in force. From January 19 to 23, 2026, the Swiss resort of Davos Cloisters will host the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum under the theme A Spirit of Dialogue. At a time of global economic anxiety, tariff tensions, and geopolitical churn, India is positioning itself as a stable, fast-growing investment destination. India's delegation is one of the largest and most influential at the forum, bringing together political leadership, state governments, and corporate heavyweights. Leading the government presence are key union ministers. Ashwini Vaishnaw, who handles railways, information and broadcasting, and electronics and IT, will represent India's push on infrastructure and digital growth. Agriculture and rural development will be championed by Shivraj Singh Chauhan, while renewable energy priorities will be highlighted by Prahlad Joshi. Civil Aviation Minister K. Ram Mohan Naidu will pitch India's rapidly expanding aviation market. Equally important is the strong presence of Indian states, each competing for global capital. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, Andhra Pradesh's N. Chandrababu Naidu, Telangana's A. Revant Reddy, Madhya Pradesh Mohan Yadav, Jharkhand's Hemant Soren, and Assam's Himanta Biswa Sharma will all be in Davos, showcasing state-level reforms, industrial corridors, and investment opportunities.
We are coming to World Economic Forum Davos for the first time. Assam was never there, but for the first time we are here. We want to send a message that Assam is now an emerging state, emerging economy. So when you are thinking of investing in India, you can consider Assam as one of the destination.
See, what Maharashtra offers is credibility. So you don't have to offer anything more. In today's world, credibility is more than capital, and that is what Maharashtra has been doing. Whatever we have been saying, we have been delivering, and that is why you can see a huge and renewed interest in investing in Maharashtra.
On the corporate side, India's biggest boardrooms are well represented. Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani and Tata Group chairman N. Chandrasekaran headline a list that includes Sanjeev Bajaj of the Bajaj Group, Hari S. Bhartiya of Jubilant Bhartiya, TVS Motor CEO Sudarshan Venu, and Mahindra Group CEO Anish Shah. In total, more than 100 Indian CEOs are expected to attend, underlining private India's global ambitions. The timing matters. India has retained its position as the world's fastest growing major economy, and Davos offers a platform to contrast India's growth story with global uncertainty. From US tariff threats to rising geo-economic confrontation, now ranked the top near-term global risk by the WEF. With nearly 3,000 leaders from 130 countries attending, India's message at Davos 2026 is clear: political stability, market scale, and long-term opportunity, and all in one package. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Air power has long defined victory in modern warfare, with the United States setting the global standards for decades. But a new warning suggests that dominance may no longer be assured as China rapidly expands its air force and missiles capabilities. The balance in sky is shifting. Could American air supremacy be nearing its end? Here is a report by Farhan Khan.
Modern wars have delivered a blunt lesson. Whoever controls the skies controls the battlefield. Recent US air operations in Venezuela and Iran ended swiftly because Washington established air dominance early. In contrast, Russia's failure to do the same in Ukraine has dragged that war into its fifth year. But a new question is emerging. Is the era of uncontested American air supremacy coming to an end? A recent study by the Royal United Services Institute, a British think tank, warns that by 2030, the United States could face its most serious air power challenge yet. Driven primarily by China's rapid military aviation buildup. The report argues that while Russia has upgraded its air force incrementally, China has undergone a transformation. In just 5 years, the People's Liberation Army Air Force, or PLAAF, has expanded at a scale unmatched in modern military history. China's fighter fleet has grown both in size and sophistication. Its J-16 heavy fighters have surged from under 100 aircraft in 2020 to around 450 today, with production still accelerating. By 2030, China could operate close to 900 J-16s. Alongside this, nearly 800 J-10C fighters equipped with modern radars and sensors could also be in service. The most striking growth is in stealth aircraft. China's J-20 fleet has expanded from fewer than 50 jets in 2020 to roughly 120 today. By the end of the decade, China could deploy up to 1,000 J-20 stealth fighters. Importantly, these aircraft are built exclusively for China. Unlike the F-35, which is shared among nearly 20 allied nations. China is also producing a second stealth jet, the J-35, while testing 6th generation aircraft designed for extreme range, stealth and missile capacity. Beyond aircraft numbers, Beijing has invested heavily in long-range missiles, advanced radars and integrated air defense systems. Chinese air-to-air missiles already outrange many Western equivalents, while layered air defenses create powerful exclusion zones designed to keep US forces at bay. Training has improved too, with more complex exercises and tighter integration between manned aircraft, drones and electronic warfare platforms. Rusi's conclusion is stark. the US can no longer assume automatic air superiority in the Indo-Pacific. Washington may still win temporary control of the skies using superior experience, advanced training, and next-generation weapons, but the traditional air power edge is no longer guaranteed. In the skies of the future, dominance may depend not on who flies best, but who feels the most capable force fastest. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Namaste World. From breakthrough in technology and business to political developments and natural disasters. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates, key developments, and more from New Delhi to New York. So, see you again tomorrow, same time, right here on Namaste World.
Thank you.